After a long day of being pulled in every direction, the last thing anyone wants to think about is what's for dinner. That's where Schwann's can help, with a variety of real food choices, frozen to lock in freshness. From ready-made meals, premium meats and side dishes, to vegetables, ice cream, and more. Schwann's foods go from freezer to table in minutes, not hours, so you can pull off a delicious meal in no time at all. Ordered, delivered, done. That's homemade easy. To help simplify mealtime, visit schwans.com.
And now, a great moment in furniture history. One summer in the early 90s, the Bob behind Bob's Discount Furniture did something that would send shockwaves throughout the furniture business. He eliminated haggling and ended the unfair and insidious practice of artificially jacking up prices only to throw a phony sale. What remains unanswered is why he would end such a lucrative scheme.
It was the right thing to do.
It was the right thing to do. This has been another great moment in furniture history. Watch furniture history unfold at mybobs.com.
Weird. It's normally plays. I hear the music when it comes on. Why isn't that playing? It's playing to listeners. Oh, it's when I'm recording, I guess. Hi, this is Jim the Keys bartender, and coming to you from Jenna Kelly's house, her tiki bar. Let me turn this off here. Let me pause that. I was trying to use I'm trying to use my pen.
Your stylus.
My stylus. My pen wasn't working correctly. I guess there's a lot that happens to a lot of guys my age when their pens aren't operating correctly. Luckily, there's things that correct that. But yeah, I have a touchscreen laptop, and I'm doing the sound and all that stuff. So it's episode 177.
177.
Yeah, we're on the home stretch going into 200. Woo. And I call this episode Bouncing at 30,000 feet. 30,000 feet? Feet. No. It's not bouncing like the porn bouncing, where you Mile High Club. Actually, it would be the 5 Mile High Club. Bouncing like you would at a bar.
Oh, gotcha.
Bouncing someone out. And there's a reason for it, and it had nothing to do with my recent trip. It was someone coming in. So this past last night at work, there was a young man. I hope do we have everything in? Did I put my line in? Oh, I hope this is recording right now.
Recording? Your line is in.
Yeah, but it didn't ask when I put it in that. I wonder if we can listen to it at the same time. You know what? I've never tried it. Trying to listen to the show.
I think sometimes there's a delay.
There is a delay?
Sometimes I believe there is. But
Yeah,
I'm not sure.
I guess to save us from doing like. Where does it show up on Spreaker? It does Spreaker, right? Can I even get into it now? Let's see. Well, last night there was a young man. Let's see, drafts. Let's see what's going on. That's a new episode. The show's new. Oh, it's live. It says it's going live. Let's see.
I just hope they can hear us.
Yes. It says we're going. It says we're going out to listeners. So.
All right.
Who knows?
Who knows?
Yes. Because I had this set up for headphones and I swapped them in. I think I may have hit line in. But it was 9 o'clock at night. We had a relatively busy night for a Monday. And what happened, I feel we could talk about it because it didn't happen in our establishment.
Okay.
And I don't put anybody at, but it was weird. My friend noticed someone was walking on the highway, Route 1, careening down, walking barefoot down the bike path, and staggering left and right, going into the highway.
So on the bike, well, okay, so in Key Largo we have like a bike path that's paved specifically down, and there's also a little bike lane up on the street. This
is the one on the south side of Route 1, on northbound lanes.
So it's a separate bike lane, so they're not actually in the street.
Well, he was going into the street.
Okay.
He was going to where he was going in the street, and he was staggering. He was obviously drunk. He did not come out of our establishment.
Okay.
And he had gone up a block, and they seen him, I guess as he went by, he must have, he actually didn't go. He was on the opposite corner, so on the next street down, but you could see him staggering all around, so she had me go out and run after him. and he had gone down the next street, Lime, and he was leaning up on the fence where there's a fruit stand. And he was tall. He was around 6'5", tall, thin guy, young. Looked like he was anywhere from 20 to 23.
Okay.
And found out his name was Tim, eventually.
Okay.
But he was a mess. No shoes, no keys, no wallet. You know, I would have
like
checked
drunk or drugged out?
I couldn't tell. I couldn't tell with this one. He was staggering. He could have been both.
Okay.
But he said, eventually we got at him. They left a party with his friend's house. I don't know how good of friends they were, you know, to let a guy like that leave.
Right.
And
Careful.
And he told us where he eventually found. He remembered his address, kinda. He said 441. Then he said 141. And I won't say the street because I don't want to give the guy's name away. I mean Tim. There's tons of Tims.
Yeah, there's a lot of
Tims. So, but it turned out it was 11 miles south.
Jeez.
And he was heading north. But it was near a place that had Lime in the name.
Okay.
And it was going down Lime Drive.
Gotcha.
So, I mean, he wasn't even close. And he said he was looking for his car. He was going to sleep in his car, but he didn't have his keys, so he probably wouldn't be able to even get in there. So we took him. We're calling up to get a cab for him, and they said 10 minutes. So I carried him, put my arm around his back, put his arm over my shoulder, and carried him back to the catch. And as we're walking back, he said, "Where are you from?" And he heard my friend, who's from England, accent, and he says, "Where are you from?" And I said, "Philadelphia." He goes, "So you're Irish?" And I go, "That's not." I said, "Philadelphia." I mean, if he picked Philadelphia, it's actually from there's a place in the Middle East, Philadelphia. There was a place. It's a Greek name.
Okay.
But I don't know where he got that Philadelphia, other than Pennsylvania. There's in Philadelphia, Mississippi, and he goes Irish, and I said, "Well, I happen to be of Irish descent, but that's neither here." And he starts talking about Belfast and Dublin and this, and he had some kind of wiring in his brain. He says his parents were from Ireland, and I don't think they were from Ireland. He said eventually, because he kept on talking about Belfast and Dublin, and then he started talking about an English soccer team, Tottenham, and then he said, and my friend is Irish descent, but she was original nationality was English or British,
right?
And he said, "Well, fuck the English." And she goes, "Just drop him right here." No, she wasn't going to do it. She was laughing, and we knew we couldn't leave him. We drive him. I would have even driven him, but we had another hour at work. Got him back to the cat, sat him down, waiting for him, gave him a glass of water, and we kept on asking, "What's your phone number?" And he started telling us his address again. I said, "We understand, we got your address. What's your phone number?" He told me like 3-4 times. It was pleasant enough as anybody gets drunk.
When they're that wasted.
They were wasted, and eventually got a ride. And then this morning I this afternoon I checked the Monroe County.
The app to see if he was arrested?
See, he was arrested. If they couldn't find his house, they may have just dropped him off and he got picked up. But he didn't. So I got, assuming he got home.
So I'm hoping, hoping he got there.
Yeah, he got home. Well, we paid for his cab. We put him in his cab. I gave him a nice tip. And the thing that brought me back is earlier in the week I met these two lovely ladies, a mother and a daughter, Janine and Jennifer. They're originally from Antigua, but now they live in the States. And Janine is a flight attendant.
Okay.
And I reflected, because recently you've seen, I think the last couple of years, these stories about people tell these nightmare stories of how it's on an airplane.
Yeah. You see the videos, people getting dragged off, like doctors getting dragged off of airplanes and all kinds of crazy stuff.
I know, but I mean, no one's really, and you never hear anybody responding. The response is usually from like a spokesperson for the airline.
Right.
It's not the person that was there. It's not the flight attendant.
Yeah.
And I thought about the similarities. If I worked at let's say a Dave & Buster's or some big chain like the Olive Garden.
Okay.
That if something were to happen, I wouldn't be able to respond. It's corporate, so someone from the corporate home office would be the one to respond. Now, because a lot of restaurants, other than airlines, aren't corporate, they're just mom and pops, people can respond on their own because there's no big thing. And, you know, if it's a serious thing, but if it's a serious accusation, you usually have a lawyer or something like that. But even on minor infractions, airlines tend to go through their public relations.
Right, yeah.
So you don't ever hear from a flight attendant exactly what happened. I'm sure you hear if they get sued, they get to tell a jury what happened. But think of it. You know, a lot of times people they're on the plane. If someone was difficult at a restaurant, we could bounce them right out the door.
Right.
As soon as they call the cops, you're out of here.
On a plane,
it's very easy.
On a
plane you can remove them, but it's difficulty, and it's tight quarters, so you have to do it as diplomatically as possible. And people have a tendency to use every advantage they have when they're difficult to stop themselves from being an asshole. They'll just use every advantage they have, and that's people around them, and they'll try to, you know, people don't know what that person did to the ticketing agent, the flight attendant, whether that's their seat, how they behaved the whole time. And, you know, people have a tendency to band together when they're on the plane. They're all in it. There's passengers and there's flight crew. Right? Now, at a bar, at a bar or restaurant, you have something that really weighs in. Imagine if you're a flight crew and 30 or 40% or 50% or more of the people on the plane were friends or acquaintances of you, and the other person was a stranger to them. You getting what I'm saying there?
Right.
That they identify on the plane, they identify with the passenger, not with the flight crew.
Right.
But at the restaurant, they identify with me, not with the problem customer. So it's automatically I have an advantage. So this is what I'm telling you about the similarities and things like that. And when I have to do it, I'm just seeing people say, yeah, I know how Jim is. Jim didn't tell that guy to go fuck himself,
right.
Which I may have. But I didn't. Jim didn't push him rudely or something like that. Probably the person did something aggressive towards him or something like that. I get the benefit of the doubt. In the case of a lot of these air crews, they don't get the benefit of the doubt. You hear some of the recent stories was a 15-year-old girl taken off a flight due to overbooking, and she was taking off a plane that she was on a flight with her mother, and her mother was at another seat, and she wasn't told, and she didn't find out until the plane was out in the air. She was told that her daughter, her minor child, was taken on. Now, there could be more to this story.
Right.
The child, you don't know, 15-year-olds don't necessarily act that way, act a certain way. And on a flight, they don't really care if you're over 10, I think. You're considered almost like an adult. Meaning, the seating way. You don't get a break on your ticket, so they may not have that statistic that telling you the age of the passenger. So they're looking at him, the kid doesn't know how to respond. A 15-year-old kid doesn't really, they think they're grown up, right?
Right,
so they say, hey, listen, you got to tell my mom. And maybe she wanted to get away from her mom. Just fucking break, I don't have to go on this trip. I didn't want to go on this trip anyway. I'll get off the plane. My boyfriend's home. We're going.
Yeah.
I'm going back.
Yeah,
I'm getting off the plane.
The exact
you don't know.
Story.
The possibility they could have been, airline could have been 100% wrong, but it also could have been an oversight and there could have been miscommunications.
Well,
I'm not getting any break from an airline for this. I'm not getting like the...
No, although, you can't book a flight without your name, your date of birth, all of your information. How do they not have her boarding pass and not be able to tell?
I don't know what's on the sheet. I don't know what's on the sheet. I don't know what on the sheet of the person that had. They may have just... you want to make it as simple as possible because you see a seat number, you want to see a name, right? A male, female. You're right. You're very right there. And if it is, and it could have had unescorted. And since the mother wasn't sitting next to her, they could have thought it was unescorted child. Which
but even so, would you?
I'm not. Well, I'm
would
not.
you do that to an unescorted
No,
minor?
not necessarily. But I'll leave it to. There's plenty of people that can attack there. I'll leave it for that for another show on
Right.
that. And then another one. This is recent. There was a delay in getting to the gate. It was on hold. And it was a couple hours. The gate wasn't available, I think, and they were giving out water. And the guy suggested, "Well, I hope that's vodka. Maybe you should give us some vodka because of the inconvenience."
And stressing us out on the
Yeah.
city,
And I think he may have there could have been a back and forth, and then eventually they called the air marshal.
right, and they were like, okay.
They had the air marshals. I mean, the air marshals aren't on every flight. They're not on every flight, but in this case, they did. And then you have the physician that got bloodied, but we once again, unless we're there at the time, you hear the story and stuff like that. But I can just think of how difficult you're in that metal tube.
Right.
You're in the air. You're outnumbered.
Yeah.
There's on many of these flights, there's maybe 3, 4, at most 4, unless it's one of those the jumbos where you got
multi-levels
and stuff like that. But if on 140, 50 person flight, they have 3 to 4 flight attendants. I don't know what they normally need to do.
Sure.
I'm not sure either. I think it's 4. The most I see is 4.
Depends on the plane, I guess, of how many.
Yeah, the size and how many.
Yeah.
But and it's not like a teacher. Imagine teachers. You got to control a room. The people are under stress. The passengers, right? They're under stress. A lot of them don't like flying.
Right.
A lot of them, they just. Some of them are naturally assholes, and they go into their mode, their protective mode. They're not. The people, the way they fucking take over the armrest.
Yeah.
Or move their seat all the way back without even asking. On one flight, the flight I was on, the Spirit, you can't move the seat back.
Right.
Which actually it's a discourtesy to everyone, which I think is pretty nice.
Right.
You know what I mean? No one can move their seat back. You know why? Because you don't know how to fucking handle it. You don't know. You're having no tray tables.
There's not.
Not on these. I don't think they have them on a short flight. I don't. Unless I'm getting something to eat, I don't attempt to drop the tray table.
I always drop it to put my iPad on it.
Yeah.
Pretty sure we had ours the last time we went.
Well, I don't care. Did we?
Hello, all. Tyler's here.
Oh yes, Tyler's.
And it's
on
Tyler.
board.
No.
But I mean,
That's Spirit.
I can't remember. Did we fly Spirit?
That's all we ever fly.
Or United.
Yeah. No, you just started flying Delta.
Okay. Well,
Before that, we were flying
United.
Spirit.
One of them. One of the planes, the seats didn't even go back. I didn't.
Spirits didn't.
Oh,
They have the button, but it doesn't move.
Yeah. Which is great. Fuck 'em. People can't handle it. They can't fucking handle
Well, I
it.
mean, if it's an international flight and you're crossing a pond, that's one thing. If you need to lay back and chill, but most flights, domestic flights, are like 3 to 5 hours max.
Well, I know. Well, they take it away to legroom and stuff like that. But the flight attendants have to handle that. A passenger can comment on social media, right? But if a flight attendant or a crew or a ticket agent, they can't go and say, "You don't fucking understand." I was with the ticketing agent. I can see this. The ticketing agent's sitting there, and they're right next to the bar. It was I said that when I was in Philadelphia recently. It's right next to the bar, Chicken Piece, nice place. And you see people getting fired up, doing shots, shouting and stuff like that. They're like they're at the corner bar.
Right.
And they are ready to get on a plane.
They want to go.
They're getting
They're like,
fucked up before they get on the plane.
Yep.
Yeah, it's just one of those things to get them. And it doesn't, it's supposed to be a depressant, but you know how some people get. Some people are fine. They get sleepy after it.
Yeah.
I get friendly, I think. Friendly, I mean, in the single days, I get a little amorous.
Some people get aggressive.
Yep.
Very aggressive.
Very aggressive on
And
the
some
plane.
of it's depending on the alcohol they drink or depending on, yeah.
Yeah. So the flight attendant has to deal with that. And then you think of the similarities. Clientele, you're introducing intoxicated in the establishment. If someone shows up intoxicated, we sorry, we can't serve you anything. We don't want, go someplace else.
Bounce.
Get out of here. And then we say, listen, we don't want you to drive. If you do drive and you're drunk, we could even say, we'll call the cops. If you get in your car and drive. we got friends on there. You know, we got people we care about. We care about everyone, actually. But what are you going to do in a plane? You know, if they're intoxicating in a plane, it's hard to really tell them they're too intoxicated to get on the plane.
Well, and the other
but you
thing
could tell beforehand that someone's going to be difficult.
What I mean, when you're in midair.
Oh, in midair. I'm talking about when you're still on the ground.
I mean, like, what do you do in midair? You have no choice. You have to somehow tolerate these people and deal with them.
Well, I saw some pictures. I didn't put a picture. The picture I posted is on a Russian flight, and a guy, I don't know if he banged himself or by banging his head or something like that, but he had blood and all this stuff, and he was just going nuts on the plane. But I can imagine when when people come in, you can tell how they are.
Yeah.
You can tell how they are. There was they get overly aggressive. Sometimes they're overly friendly to people. They're start harassing some of the employees or the other passengers. Imagine you sit next to someone and they're drunk and he starts putting his hand. There are people molested on flights.
This is why flight attendants get paid really well. And they don't have to work very
much. Well, they used to,
much.
years ago when they did it, they were in whether you smoked or not, you smoked. You know what I'm saying?
Oh.
On a plane?
Oh,
because
really?
they had, when I was a kid, there was ashtrays built into the arms of the plane.
When I was growing up, they weren't ruled out. I mean, they were still there, but you weren't allowed to smoke on them.
Okay, but I remember them
don't
smoking.
remember
And there was
how
and people used to smoke like fucking crazy on the plane because they, like I said, most people are nervous about flying.
Right, so they're just chain smoking.
Yeah, I try to chill out before it. And then you have the demanding clientele. Not only that, we'll forget them being drunk.
Like the
I want a
people
pillow, I want a blanket. At a bar, the similarities, you have people that give me ice, I want lemon, give me a bunch of lemons with that. I want a lot more ice. Can you get rolls for the table and stuff like that? They'll 3 minutes ago. They're one at a time. Get you one thing, and you'll notice.
Thank you.
The person that's always hitting the button.
Yeah.
It's a 10%.
High maintenance.
They call it 10% rule. There's 10% of the people
and
that demand 90% of your
complain,
attention.
And those are the people that are going to be on social media, but I asked for a pillow and it took her 45 minutes to get me a pillow, and blah, 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 and I want to speak to a manager.
They don't know. Yeah, they don't know what that other person could be getting something for a baby that's puking all over the place, or someone who's having a panic attack.
Yeah.
They have other things. Someone think they may be having a heart attack.
No consideration.
Yeah, and they don't like where they're seated. They don't like where they're seated.
Right.
And they take it out at any establishment, whether it's a restaurant, airplane. If they're not happy with what they get, they take it out on the representative.
Server. Yeah.
Oh, what it is, like in Publix. This guy stocking the thing. Well, you raised the price on the pork and beans. And the guy that's stocking the shelf, yeah, he raised the price. Yeah, you think he did? No, the guy that raised the price on that is not in the fucking building.
Right.
Yeah, and the person that made what
thing about flying?
What
is I have to check the flap in the seat back in front of me and see if the barf bag is still there, because I'm always curious if the person in front of before me used it and puked in that seat, because then I'm just weird, germaphobe. That's the only thing that I'm a germaphobe.
Well, there's germs in that fucking seat, no matter whether they're puking or not. I mean, people have leaky.
Well, they say the air dryers in your bathrooms now are just as bad, like the restaurant bathrooms. The air dryers, instead of paper towels, they're using the air things. You got to think it sucks in all of the bacteria in that bathroom, and then it shoots it right onto your hands.
You're right.
The airborne fecal matter.
Yep.
You're spraying it onto your hands.
But wait. Oh, it's not hot. Yeah, it's just regular air.
Regular air.
It's not hot air.
If it's hot, it's just hot air poo.
Oh, on those fucking planes, you go in. If you walk into one of those stalls in that plane, you can barely turn around in the bathroom. So they're.
There's no real AC in the bathroom either.
No, and if you really, the food they sell at airports are specially designed to make you
have to poo. So you're gonna go in the airplane, sit on the toilet, sweat a little bit, and poo yourself.
I did. It's tough, but if you gotta go, it's better than sucking it in. I've had really bad gas on the plane, and I held it. I sucked it in. I sucked it in so much it felt like it was going to come up from my duodenum, which is close to your anus,
descending colon.
Yeah, yes. All the way. I think I backed it all the way up back to my esophagus. So I mean, it just felt like
burping farts.
Yeah, burping. I just burped a fart. Yeah, someone said. I remember a comedian said that about his son. His son goes, "I just burped some puke. You puked. Yeah, that's what you did. You just
puked.
Like
a burp.
Yeah, threw up in your mouth.
You threw up in your mouth. That's what you did. I tell you about that when I was in the Navy. Someone during inspection, the guy was out the night before, and he was in my squad, and I'm looking to my right, and I see him. His cheeks puff out, and they come back in, and I go. He goes, afterwards, I go, man, I thought you were going to puke. And he goes, what do you mean you thought I was going to puke? I puked. I said, yep. I go, wow. Puke I said like this, and you did it. And I said, you passed. You passed inspection. Yeah. If you had puked, you would not. I had that. I puked during a run. But that's all right. They don't care as long as you get your time in. I had a good time when I was running and puking. But I digress. But when you're up on a plane, like I said, all the things that someone has a problem when they want to speak to a manager, they want something comped, they just feel so frustrated that they don't get what they want. It just builds up. They can't leave.
Entitled.
They can't leave. Yep. And they'll take it out.
So if you hit turbulence, are you going to complain about the pilot that got you there safely, even though you hit turbulence?
Mm-hmm. Like you'd be able to see it. Mm-hmm. I mean, just yesterday near Tulsa, Oklahoma, there were tornadoes popping up right near the airport.
We watched videos last night about it. I've never experienced a tornado. Oh. I've seen water spouts out here. I've been surrounded by them, and that's okay.
What's the difference?
It is no
water
difference.
Spouts over water.
It's a tornado over water.
I know. I meant the force. Like if you got hit.
There's a lot of difference in the force. I mean,
because it sucks out from the water, right? It drains it of some of the energy.
They're small.
Yeah.
They're so small compared to. You're not going to find a mile wide.
Water spout.
Oh no, that would be some like a day after tomorrow thing. But I remember a couple of years ago where when you'd see the water spouts, you'd see like 4 over here and 3 over there, and
you're on Real Locals of the Florida Keys.
Yeah,
they show them all the time.
I believe that the rotation of a water spout is much slower than a tornado because of the density of the water is so heavy to spin it. I believe.
Is it opposite in the southern hemisphere? Just like the toilets?
I think they spin the other direction.
Yeah.
They call it a water spout.
Spout? No, that's Canada. You mix that with Canada. But as we said, it's harder to kick a passenger off the plane. They have to secure them when they become violent. They got to figure out a way to secure them. And a lot of times, there's not a air marshal on every domestic flight.
I was going to say that. I don't think I've ever been on a flight and
they have
that there was a marshal.
That's where passengers are kind of unofficially deputized. Right?
And I wonder if it's true.
Because so makes me think of Bridesmaids.
What?
The marshal is allowed to carry.
Yeah.
Concealed, hidden very well.
And they have they use a different type of bullet on their ceramic or something like that.
Are also allowed to carry, but they have to be in a safe or a lockbox, I believe.
I believe they have to be rubber bullets, which cannot penetrate the.
Yeah, you don't want to depressurize the plane. Yep. But sometimes you see how these fucking people act. You want them to. You ever seen the movie The Good Shepherd?
No.
Okay, it was Matt Damon. He was a CIA, worked for the agency. But part of it, his son dates a woman gets engaged to a woman in Africa. He's going to get married, and the country is kind of a proxy of the United States. And they find out the woman did some spying for the Soviet Union, and when she's traveling from her village to go and get married in the capital to Matt Damon's son, she gets on a plane, and midway during the flight they're over to Congo. You know how they used to get rid of dissidents back then when they do? Open the door to the plane. They did in Argentina. They used to do in Argentina all the the Argentinian Navy planes, they used to take dissidents out over the ocean. They wouldn't do it on land for one reason, because you don't want any evidence.
Yeah, split.
They just, you're going to fly them out miles out. It's easy to go 50 miles. And just, we're not. They didn't drop them. They didn't drop them close enough to.
They wouldn't survive the impact.
Yeah,
like
impact.
Hitting waters, like hitting concrete.
Yeah. So they would drop them out, but they show this woman, and you see her with, she's holding a wedding dress. She's going down into the jungle and stuff like that. And said, well, some people, it's cruel to kill somebody, but sometimes you can understand you might want to do that, but opening the door is kind of go say, hey, you want to get out? That's. There's people that actually get panicky enough to try to open up the exit hatch. You say, man, I would just really love to see someone.
Well, in that concept, yes. Some people, and
I mean, if I could throw someone, if I, the old days, you'd see people in Old West, some of the movies, you see them getting thrown through the swinging doors.
Yeah.
And if it's really high budget Western, they throw them through the glass window. They didn't have those big windows back then, so I don't know how they did that.
I don't agree on like a Purge, like the movie Purge. I don't agree on something like that, but you should be given one of the light socket finger rings.
Yeah.
And let society, let them choose their own fate.
I saw that movie.
There's a ring with 2 prongs.
Yeah.
That I've seen over Facebook, and it's just, if you're stupid enough to stick that ring into the electrical socket and electrocute yourself, then yeah.
Oh, really?
Is there.
What was the premise of
the Purge?
Yeah.
Just once a year, you have 24 hours to free will and kill. No police, no nothing.
What was the idea behind it? What does it do?
Control?
Yes, I believe so.
Oh, really? What if? No, you just get the violent people killing the non-violent people. Then you ended up with more violent people.
Right.
That have a tendency to wait around a year to be violent. So, okay, well, neither here nor there. Well, Janine, I'd like to thank you for bringing the idea that we do have considerations where if you are on a flight, don't automatically assume that the flight crew is in the wrong. We can't automatically assume anything nowadays, but who knows? On a lighter note, I don't know if it's a lighter, it could be serious. In my news feed, I get a lot of science. I like science. I don't understand it all the time. And they're not calling unidentified objects
UFOs anymore?
No, they're calling them like UAFs or something like that. Unannounced. I don't know if it's if they don't respond or something like that, but off the East Coast, they say United States fighters have come, Navy fighters have come in contact over the recent years. No, but they're thinking it's not necessarily aliens. They're afraid someone that actually has technology that's more advanced. Like so someone actually. I don't know what. Well, you'll find it, and then you'll say, "Oh, that's what it is." But they just went, instead of doing UFOs, they changed it to another acronym.
Unidentified aerial something.
Yes, something like that.
Right.
So, but it's something where they don't have a coherent emission. They don't see, they don't see a propulsion system, and they see it's very nimble and fast, and way beyond the capabilities of the U.S. Now, the old days in the West, they used to think that there's a testing grounds in the far West where they used to think that if they were developing aircraft, you couldn't tell anybody really. You wouldn't even tell someone in your own service if you're testing.
Talking about Area 54.
Not necessarily 54. There's China Lake. That's a Navy one out there. Area 54 was a great place to test planes because you just restrict it and people automatically think. And I'm not poo-pooing conspiracy theorists or doing that, but they're suggesting because Putin alluded to having a capability. I mean, if you took a certain amount of resources and threw it at a problem, you might be able to develop something. They're talking now to do a hypersonic jet. There's a private company that's developing hypersonic jet that's going to do Mach 5, and they're talking about 90 minutes from New York to London, which is twice as fast as the Concorde used to go. And prior to that, there was a ballistic. They were going to do a ballistic that would go into a semi-ballistic trajectory, and it would actually go up to Mach 12 or something like that. But the cost of it would be prohibitive. I mean, Elon Musk is coming. Oh, and one of the things with that Navy UFO thing, people they suggest to go to Russian or Chinese. The Chinese wouldn't operate off the Atlantic coast because that's not their base operation. They do more Pacific, so it would be more Russians. But Russians, you'd think the Russians would be more in the Far East too, because they have all that open spaces. And flying over European, our allies with the tight air defense systems, they concern. But that leaves the aliens, Russians, and Elon Musk.
See,
People are suggesting that it's one of our.
I don't see anything wrong with certain areas, Area 54 and stuff like that, where our government is trying to make the newest and greatest best thing to have it restricted. You have
to have it restricted.
Yeah.
If it's a defense industry thing, you're not going to start saying, "Oh, look, we're developing an air defense system. We're going to show you all the pictures of it, and this is how it works. Here's the schematics and stuff." That's not how you do it, because they're working hard to steal it anyway. The Chinese have been able to buy advanced avionics from our allies. So it's like fucking Popeye's chicken going and getting the Colonel's recipe and fucking, okay, well, we're going to get it. We're going to reverse engineer it. You say, well, there's Popeye's chicken. Oh, well, that's the same recipe we have. No, you can't prove it. What is your recipe? We'll tell you what it is.
UAP is unidentified aerial phenomena.
There we go.
That's why we're thinking UAF, because of the phenomena.
Yep.
But
UAP.
That is the University of Atlantic, University of Alaska Fairbanks is UAF.
What? Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah, you said UAF. I was like,
UAP.
It's
UAP.
UFOs, UAPs.
And isn't that weird how they changed the
CRAPS? Well,
so
there's multiple.
Well, I mean, I guess it explains. But isn't it unidentified flying object? It could be a weather balloon.
Right.
It could be a very attractive aluminum kite.
Aerial phenomena.
Could be a cloud. It could be
anything that flies.
Yeah. Well,
anything
aerial phenomena. It doesn't mean it's flying. It could be floating.
But phenomena would mean.
It could be a reflection of a. It could be a reflection of a cloud. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But and then CRAP, CRAP, completely ridiculous alien piffle.
A crap.
Yeah, this guy says, it seems like all the data that we do have can help you distinguish between UAPs and what I call completely ridiculous alien piffle, such as crop circles, cattle mutations, alien abductions, and anal probes. So that would be, there's your...
Anal probes.
Anal probes.
Well, how did that...
there's a lot of people that say they were abducted by aliens and that they were probed anally. So I'm guessing that,
the government controls all.
There was a bit on, it was Kids in the Hall, and they did these alien, they had the big heads, and they're standing at a console, and they said, one of the aliens talking to the other, and they're going, isn't it horrible that we go over thousands of light years to come to Earth, we kidnap some specimens, and then what do we do? We don't educate them. We don't pass on any gifts. We anally probe them. And what have we found? 1 out of 10 of them don't seem to mind it that much. They show this guy leaning back, pulling his legs back and smiling. And the guy goes, don't you think we were meant for something bigger than this? Maybe we can, create more harmony, peace, enlightening for these people. And the guy says, no, our leader says this is what we do. We come over and we do it. He goes, come on, let me take your eye. Let's take your mind off there. Have a drink and come over here and look at my collection of anal probes. And the guy says, fuck you. They actually blanked it out because it was American television, but they could say fuck you at that time on Canadian television, I think. So that was great. And on that note, do you know Christian Vivian? She's a young woman. She's a insurance agent over at right next to the Circle K.
No. Oh, okay. I know
And
what
she's
building
been
you're
a
talking
listener of the show. And she heard about the episode where we almost got into the Lover's Boutique, right?
Yeah.
And how it got shot down because Luke suggested that there was a possibility of him using one of their butt plugs. And if there's such a thing as a vibrating butt plug, which I think there probably would be one, it would make sense to do. They got dildos
Don't
and all
you
that
make
stuff.
vibrating like everything?
Everything.
I would think.
Yeah, I mean, but I don't know about putting anything electrical up my anus or anything like that.
What's different than the
Maybe
other
that's what the aliens.
I don't put anything electrical on that end either.
Maybe that's what it is. These people think.
Oh,
they're
you mean?
abducted by
Oh, wait,
aliens.
a battery powered. You're right. Battery powered. How much shock you're going to get from that? Right?
Not
I mean,
just
it's
that,
not like a
if we're gonna
taser.
Use it for the front side. What's any difference going on the back side?
Well, I've never inserted any. I guess.
Well, I'm just saying, you know, if a woman is using a vibrator, what's the difference if using a vibrator?
You're saying a woman's
anal
using
plug?
an anal plug. A woman's using an anal plug. Maybe a guy is.
Either way.
What I'm saying.
But
is,
it's suggesting it, and the thing that shot us down was that they would
they
give
probably-
credence to the thought that Luke would be able to use one as try it out.
Yeah.
And then she goes, she came up with a thing. What is there going to be a wall there? 50% off of gently used, gently used anal plugs, lovingly used dildos,
by
refurbished, repatched blow up dolls.
Right.
You know.
Like what, this is our clearance table.
Yeah, the clearance table.
Everything is slightly used.
A reupholstered pocket pussy.
Sorry,
you know.
I'm sorry that everything's slightly damaged.
Yeah, but I mean,
But if you would like to
if
use-
you're on a budget and you need to get the top selling vibrating anal beads, then maybe that's the way to go.
On the clearance rack,
Yeah.
I mean, our Jack Walker would probably buy off of that rack.
our walking jacker.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. He said well used, half off, partially used box of
lights.
Kleenex. Open Jergens
Open bottle
lotion.
of Jergens.
Well, we took the Jergens lotion from the back of one of the rooms, the viewing rooms, and but you can buy this
No
instead of
black
$2.50.
lights
Yeah, you've got a really good deal. You know what? We're at almost 41 and a half minutes. I think we should start pushing our.
Our reviews.
Well, first, I wanted to thank listeners too. We've had
yes, we've got listeners, new listeners.
yeah,
sounds
from
like.
Beverly Hills, California.
Ah.
And if you're a fucking writer or producer for one of those shows, and you're trying to glean an idea, I don't think it's gonna work. I don't. Sometimes it's not even really funny when we say it. It'll probably be even less funny when you say it.
But we could possibly be the
But if you're
next
not-
Big Bang Theory.
Except
No,
for-
they don't go and discover you and do it. They just steal it. They fucking steal
They
it like a
steal it.
fucking used anal probe.
Just wait.
Yeah.
That's what you're doing.
Just
you
wait.
you guys, if you're stealing the material, you're like the guy that wants to use a vibrating
Pre-owned.
anal plug.
If shortly
and then
we
you
do
expect
see-
you're just delivering an anal plug. But if you were listening and you're just feel inspired or stuff like that, and you like to get more, because there's a whole lot of material. I have a book right here of ideas.
If we see shortly a sitcom that
Yeah.
has an episode about the clearance table at the porn store,
Yeah.
we know where you got it from.
And we're going to wash your hands. You should wash your hands of it right away.
You should
Literally.
wash your hands with an air
Literally,
fryer.
yes. With a fecally
To pass the
defective.
fecal air
And
around
move your toothbrush closer to your toilet.
Yeah. Howie Mandel.
Oh.
Right?
Where's
Because of
me
the
out
flash.
still having my toothbrush in
No,
my-
all you have to do is close the lid. Right? When you flush.
No,
It reduces
Mythbusters.
it.
Mythbusters did it.
When you're
Just as bad?
pooping,
Yep.
your legs aren't together, so there's still fecal matter in the air that's good. No, ugh.
I mean,
Hey, listen. Let me explain something
Is
to
it
you.
90%
If you're
of dust
if
human
you're going to
skin, by
get
the
rid
way?
of if
yeah,
you're going to
all your dust mites underneath your bed are all of your dead skin cells.
well all around the place.
Well, not mites.
That's
Mites are living
mainly
things.
mainly pet dander, skin, dead skin cells and stuff like that. That's dust. That's dust.
Yeah.
And in these old houses, a lot of times
It's your skin.
it's or rats
And rats.
rat hair.
It's the skin from the rats.
Skin from the rats
Right.
and stuff like that. But
Yep.
you know what doesn't kill you does make you stronger that way. You ever hear about the idea of making kids completely antibacterial is
It's bad for them.
hurting their ability to fight.
Yeah, because
That if you
don't build up
if you
their
use
antibodies.
anti-inflammatories to reduce these inflammation stuff before they because your body's fighting two things at a time. Like when your throats get sore, you just I gargle with hot salt water and let my immune system kind of fight it because I want to have that penicillin for when I fucking really need it. But I did say it before. But once again, if you are honestly, you could be sitting in your mansion or back in your groundskeeper shed on the back of Tom
they're
Cruise's.
probably sitting next to the pool.
Or
No,
if you're Charlie Sheen
no,
in
I don't think
Beverly
so.
Hills.
Charlie
listening
Sheen's not
to
in
us.
Beverly Hills anymore, is he?
That's where the
Still
sitcom
Laguna
was
Beach?
made.
Okay.
2.5 Men.
Okay. Isn't there? What's their Beastie Boys song? Beverly Hills. That's where I wanna be.
Yes.
And they had that kind of like a Vietnamese kind of girl in the background singing it.
Just saying, thank you, Beverly Hills, for
Yeah.
listening
Well,
to it.
Yeah,
And
Cannes, France, not Cannes where the movies are. Cannes, Caen, Barcelona, Singapore.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Yeah, still no
Hello,
North
Singapore.
Korea yet, dear leader.
Get
If you're
there.
gonna listen, fucking man, I will send you. Oh wait, you have connections up north near our cheese capital of
I
the world.
do have connections.
If we can get, we'll send you.
I will send you squeaky Wisconsin.
What's that
cheese.
farm? What's that? And we'll send you one of those Harvest Farms. Harvest. What's that?
Oh, that's not the real stuff.
I know, but he would love that.
Squeaky cheese.
Squeaky cheese?
Squeaky cheese.
We'll send you squeaky cheese, dear leader, if you listen to the show.
Yeah.
We'll have you on. I'll call you up, and you can maybe have something to say.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I know Donald Trump has a hard
Hey,
on for you.
know, I will tell you, when my sister drives down, she brings me squeaky cheese.
Yeah?
Than last time.
They got cheese in Poland, too. They sell cheese alongside the road. They got cheese vendors.
Yeah, I know.
It's kind of
There's a
weird.
lot of cheese there, too.
It's a
But that's
different-
because you
it's
got
a
lot
different type of
cows. You
cheese.
gotta have cows.
They have a lot of cows.
If you have cows, you got cheese.
Okay.
And
And
goats.
if you,
Goat cheese.
we normally say leave us a review on whatever platform you listen to, especially iTunes, Spreaker, iHeartRadio. It's got Spotify, all those things, Google, wherever you
Absolutely.
listen.
Or even on our Facebook. You can leave it.
Become a
Follow
follower
us
on Facebook.
on Facebook.
Look up Keys Bartender.
Yes.
I made a mistake. I changed it to a company since it became a LLC. Now we have two. We have the Keys Bartender and we have
Oh.
Keys Bartender.
It's the one that has Jim's
We have both.
face
I'm going to
on
combine
it.
them. I'm going to combine them.
Right.
Same one.
Well, for right now.
We own both.
So, if you see
We
Jim's
own both.
face looking through a shot glass, then that is the
That
real
was
one.
actually a prescription shot glass.
Yes.
It was. It was given to me by a former bartender who became an optometrist.
Oh, how fabulous.
Not true. Not true at all. But thank you very
But
much.
leave us a review.
Yep.
Send us some comments. We'll definitely love to talk to you on the
Let's
air.
see if we can get this to work. This is
Oh, he's using his stylus.
Tyler.
again.
Yeah, I'm using my. It's
Yeah.
working now. Oh, he's playing. Oh, I got to bring up the volume. I'm up the volume. I didn't have the volume up. That's the reason why. I didn't play in the beginning.
This is Julie.
Hey, calendar, what's my morning like?
Julie's about to have a long day.
At 9 a.m., soccer carpool. 9:10, purchase birthday card. 9:05, dry cleaning.
Did you just go backwards?
I'm sorry, I can't fit that question into your schedule. 9:15, cry for a little bit.
For days that won't end, let Schwann's help. With Schwann's, you can get delicious meals that go from freezer to table in minutes, not hours. Ordered, delivered, done. That's homemade easy. Visit today at schwanns.com.
And now, a great moment in furniture history. One summer in the early 90s, the Bob behind Bob's Discount Furniture did something that would send shockwaves throughout the furniture business. He eliminated haggling and ended the unfair and insidious practice of artificially jacking up prices only to throw a phony sale. What remains unanswered is why he would end such a lucrative scheme.
It was the right thing to do.
It was the right thing to do. This has been another great moment in furniture history. Watch furniture history unfold at mybobs.com.